Through the example and teaching of Jesus, we can see the essence of Fletcher's situation ethics. Jesus appears to reject the legalistic framework of the Pharisees and embrace a more relativist outlook. He appears to look at the individual person, hanging out with tax collectors, who are sinners, prostitutes, and other undesirables. He forgives rather than punishes, and breaks laws when it seems kinder to do so. This very famous quote from St. Paul is often used in wedding services, but it talks of a different kind of love than that between husband and wife, although it is expected that the husband and wife should love each other in this manner too. This kind of love is unconditional. It expects nothing in return. It is not self-seeking and simply gives. Aquinas had defined it as charity. This love is an action rather than a feeling. This statement was given in reply to a lawyer who was testing Jesus and asking which was the greatest commandment. In Exodus there are 10, but in the Torah as a whole there are 613 commandments in total. Jesus sums up the spirit of the commandments rather than selecting a specific one. He claims that the commandments are about two things, loving God and each other. This is the purpose of the law. If the law is not loving, then it is easy to see why Fletcher felt it should be disregarded. This is often known as the golden rule, do as you would be done by. This is personalism. Fletcher says, ethics deals with human relations. Situation ethics puts people at the centre of concern, not things. The legalist is a what asker. What does the law say? The situationist is a who asker. Who is to be helped? In this passage, two instances are referred to. Firstly, Jesus is challenged because he and his disciples are plucking grain from a field on the Sabbath day. This is considered to be work. Secondly, he goes into the synagogue and heals a man with a withered hand. Both these acts are very provocative in the eyes of the Pharisees, who are legalistic in their approach to ethics. Exodus 20:8-11 tells us to honour the Sabbath and keep it holy. On this day we are not to work, and the teachers of the law have gone to great pains to identify what counts as work. Here is Jesus flaunting the fact that he chooses not to obey this law right in the middle of the synagogue. His statement shows the true spirit of situation ethics. The Sabbath or the laws are made for the benefit of humankind. Essentially, then, if they are used to control people, then they are of no benefit and should be ignored. If they are used to help, to love and to protect, then they should be followed. This is relativism. Fletcher says, the situationist avoids words like never and perfect and always and complete, as he avoids the plague. He avoids absolutely. This quote for some people goes a step too far. However, we can see its essence very clearly in the 6 fundamental propositions. We can see that love is not the same as like, that agape is not about a feeling that we have for someone, but it is about being the kind of person who sets an example, who is compassionate even when others are not. This kind of love really is unconditional. It is personal and does not take revenge. It doesn't withhold love even when ultimately challenged. This is willing the neighbour's good, whether we like him or not. This story really exemplifies the last quote. The Good Samaritan story is very famous and perfectly demonstrates the idea of love or agape as something unconditional. It doesn't matter that the Samaritan and the injured man are supposed to be enemies. Compassion is demonstrated here. What is also interesting is that it is not the teacher or the lawyers who demonstrate it, it is the person who the lawmakers would have as immoral. Again, this is willing the neighbour's good, whether we like him or not.